it's January and I'm going to show you what I do every January. I'm going to make you a budget meal, but I'm going to explain to you what I do during the month of January to save money and also be able to make healthy, delicious meals. So stick around. Hi, Debbie Chu here from Chu on Vegan. Welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. I am a postmenopausal woman. I am 69 years old. I am a registered nurse, and I like to share with you healthy recipes that are whole food plant-based with a focus on protein, because as we age, protein becomes very important for muscle retention and just for longevity. So as I said in the intro, I'll be showing you a really easy budget meal. And what I like to do in January, I call it no spend January. Not 100% no spend, but I try to eat out of my freezer and my pantry. And that is what I will be doing today. This meal will also be one pot. I'm going to do it in the Instant Pot, but you could do this in a slow cooker. You could do it on a pot on top of the stove. No rules here. You can cook it however you would like. So the full recipe and the macros will be in the description box, along with all the other resources that I offer. I do have a cookbook that's got over 60 recipes in it. So if you're new to this way of eating, that will really help you out with some recipes. And I do still have some of my t-shirts left. I have a few left, and I am looking into getting another batch with some smalls and mediums as you guys requested. The company that I dealt with like 5-6 years ago, they've more than doubled their prices on the t-shirts. I'd have to charge you at least $30 for a shirt, maybe a little bit more. And I just think that's just too high of a price for a t-shirt. So I'm gonna look for another company and hopefully they can give me a better deal, and I'll keep you posted on that. So this recipe will also be wonderful for fat loss. It's going to be low calorie. So it's a great recipe to add into your rotation if you are trying to lose fat. So let's get into it. So I've got my handy dandy Instant Pot here. Like I said, you could do this on the top of the stove. You could do it in a slow cooker. You could probably even do it in the oven, like in a 13 by 9 inch pan. Put everything in there, cover it with foil, and it would probably come out great that way too. All right, so we're just gonna throw everything in here. I'm not even gonna saute the onions, nothing. I'm just gonna throw all the ingredients in here and you're gonna see how easy it is. So I'm just going to be using what I have. So your ingredients may and probably will vary. So just add the ingredients that you have in your fridge. If you have bell peppers, if you have celery, whatever you have, zucchini. I didn't have any celery. This would go great in here, but I didn't have any. So we're just going to use some carrot. I had 2 small Japanese sweet potatoes. You could use regular potatoes, orange sweet potatoes, whatever you would like. And then I've got some onion here, probably half of a large onion. Okay, that's step 1. So if you just did the 7-day reset that I had, then what are the 3 things that I like to put in recipes? Give up? Okay, I want a protein, I want a starch, and I want a veg. So we've got our starches here. Protein is going to be some soy curls. You could use TVP, you could use tofu, you could use tempeh. If you don't have a problem with wheat, you could use seitan. Whatever protein you want to throw in here, or you could leave it out, but this does boost up the protein because I'm also going to be putting in a can of chickpeas. They've got some protein, but they are mostly a carb, mostly a starch with some protein. They're not a really great protein source. Then I'm just going to add a bag of frozen mixed vegetables. I found these in my freezer. You know, let's use them up. More veg, more fiber, it's perfect. Now for spices, I'm just going to be using a not chicken bouillon cube. You could use vegetable broth or another kind of bouillon cube. They have not beef, they have vegetable, whatever. So I'm going to use one of these. I'm just going to crumple it in here. Then I'm also going to add in just some garlic powder. I'm going in with about a teaspoon. Then I have some poultry seasoning, teaspoon of that. And this is all to taste. If you want to do more or less or add another spice, that's all you. Then I like to add some nutritional yeast. I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons. And then I'm just going to put enough water in here to cover everything. Then you just want to give it a stir. And just make sure everything is covered. And this was about 5 cups of water. So there's no need to reconstitute your soy curls. That's all going to happen during the cooking process. And then when we're all done, we'll taste it, and then it's salt and pepper to taste. Then we put the lid on. Make sure that it's on sealing. Actually, let's do 12 minutes. So it needs to come up to pressure. It'll cook for 12 minutes. Then I usually let it sit for 10 minutes, or you could do quick release. That just means it's ready to go. And then I'm going to add some greens on top at the very end. And of course, like I said, taste it, see if it needs any salt and pepper. All right, see you in a few minutes. So while everything is cooking, I thought maybe we could have a little heart-to-heart. And I like to do this at the beginning of the year. I don't really do resolutions, but I like to I just like to reflect on last year, what worked, what didn't work. I like to make goals for the year. And that's another reason why I like to do this No Spend January, because I think not only do I like to get my health on track in January, make sure that I'm where I need to be, but also my spending. And it can get away from you. So that's why I like to do No Spend January. It makes me realize how lucky I am, how grateful I am that I have a freezer full of food. I have a pantry full of pasta and canned goods. And I know a lot of people are struggling at this time. So it really brings me back to gratitude. And I think that's so important in our lives because we get so busy, we get carried away, especially over the holidays. And I just like to bring myself back to earth and realize that it's just the simple things that are important, really, isn't it? Our family, our friends, and we want to make sure we're taking care of our health, so we're there for them and we're there for ourselves. So I challenge you to try No Spend January. Of course you're going to spend. You're going to have to spend for fresh food, some veggies and things like that. But if you've got a freezer full of vegetables, or that soup you made a couple months ago, you froze it, bring all those things out. Get the pasta going. You got canned beans. You can make different things. So I just challenge you to do that, and it just makes you feel good that you're using up what you already have. You're saving money, and that's huge in this day and age. So I just challenge you to give that a try. And also this year, I want you to be kind to yourself, and I want you just to keep things simple. Don't overthink it. You don't need another diet. You don't need another program. I mean, those things are great and they can help you along. Just think about it. How many times have you ended up in the same place every year? You're like, well, here I am again. Let's not have that happen again this year. So you're going to need to change a few things. You're going to need to change what's up here, the way you think. You're going to need to make some healthier choices, better choices. Of course, nobody's going to be perfect, but just keep trying every day, next meal, next day. Get back on those healthy choices. And if you're struggling, talk to a friend about it. Talk to your spouse or someone that you trust and let them know that you're having a hard time. Get a workout buddy, somebody maybe that your neighbor that likes to go walking, and you guys could just do a walk every day and get away from the TV and get out in the fresh air. You're going to feel a whole lot better. So this is just a little reminder that you're going to start fresh, and don't worry about what happened last year. Just learn from those mistakes and then move forward. And I'm here to help you. So if you have any questions, you can always email me. You can put them in the comments. I'm happy to help you and answer your questions. All right, I'll be back when my little concoction is done and we'll give it a taste. So here is the finished product here. I added some kale, and I also added a little slurry of arrowroot and water just to thicken it up a bit, just because I wanted it a little thicker. That's totally optional. I like it a little thicker. It's almost like a chicken pot pie without the crust. So I guess that's what I'll call it, a crustless chicken pot pie. I did add some salt and pepper, so let's give it a taste. All right, here we go, finished product. And it's been raining all day and the sun just came out and it's blinding me, but so if I'm squinting, that's why. But that's why I wanted to make this, because it was a cold, rainy day. All right, let's give it a taste. Oh, it looks so good with all the veggie and the potato and the chickpeas and the little bits of soy curls. So let's give it a taste here. Oh yeah, it's exactly what I wanted. So good. This is so satisfying. This will freeze beautifully. I like to use these little silicone little cubes, and this is perfect. These come in a 2-pack. I'll add this to my Amazon favorites. I don't think I've done that yet. But this is perfect because you've got your little individual servings. Probably 2 would be a serving. But yeah, you just freeze everything in here and then pop them out and put them in a Ziploc bag and throw them in your freezer, and then you've got this delicious crustless chicken pot pie whenever you would like. So these are real handy. It's got a nice lid on it, so highly recommend. So remember that the full recipe and the macros, oh, let me tell you the macros, hold on. All right, the macros are as follows: 383 calories, 6 grams of fat, 65 grams of carbs, 20 grams of protein, and about 19 grams of fiber. So this is a really good one. And this recipe serves about 4, give or take. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned something. And if you did, please give it a like and share it with your friends. Please subscribe. I really appreciate your support. And remember that all my recipes are good for you. They're good for the animals and they're good for the planet. And what you put on your plate determines your fate. Until next time, thank you.